a stunning bit of news in yesterday's playbook. This is with Politico. They write that Dems were caught off guard by the fact that they won those races in Georgia, caught flat-footed by total control of Washington. So basically, they really didn't expect to win control of the Senate. They were completely banking on being able to blame like their lack of ability to get anything done on Mitch McConnell and the Republicans having control of the Senate. And the fallout from that is that they really don't have a plan or a strategy with regards to economic relief for COVID. So that's why you've seen yesterday we reported here how now they're like, oh, maybe we'll, even though we said we'll do $2,000 checks immediately, maybe what we really meant was $1,400 checks and sometime in March or whatever we get around to it. That's why you see this sort of like battle and debate over the right way to proceed, whether they should do something smaller and more targeted right away and try to get bipartisan support, whether they should just operate through the budget reconciliation process where you only need to get 51 votes, or whether, which seems to be the direction that they're headed in, which to me is maybe the worst possible direction, they should wait and put together this bigger bill that has zero chance of Republican support and try to get it through regular order, which requires significant Republican support. Unsurprisingly, the only person who seems to actually have a plan, a strategy, and a vision for the situation is Bernie Sanders, who was out with a big op-ed in CNN yesterday, laying out what he thinks should be done through that budget reconciliation process, which again, only requires a bare majority vote. So if you keep all the Democrats together, you can do what you want through budget reconciliation. He lays out here in this op-ed a really long list. Let me just give you the highlights. He wants to do the $2,000 checks, $600 unemployment insurance, state and local aid, 12 weeks of paid leave, universal pre-K, tuition-free college, canceling student debt, and lifting the minimum wage to $15 per hour, all through the budget reconciliation process. So he's thinking very big here. And like, look, Sagar, I mean, that is not all going to be done through budget reconciliation, but you can see what he's doing here. He's trying to lay out the outer edge of the debate so that if Biden and co negotiate back from that, they don't do the tuition-free college, they don't cancel all the student debt, they don't do the universal pre-K, people like Joe Manchin can go back to their constituents and say, look, we took a moderate approach, but he's setting the sort of terms and the boundaries of that debate ultimately, which I think is a very smart strategy. And again, I just think it's really noteworthy that he is the only one who actually has a plan and a vision that he wants to accomplish during this time, while everyone else seems to be scrambling around like chickens with their heads cut off.
I can't get over it, Krystal. I've been talking to people on Capitol Hill, too, even on the right, GOP senators, and they're like, what the hell is Biden doing? They're like, some of them are literally where they could stand by and vote for a $2,000 check legislation if he were to call for that. They're just literally have nothing to do. And look, I'm looking at the Biden schedule for today. He's got a couple of things on his schedule. One is he's receiving a briefing on the state of the economic recovery. And the second thing he's going to do is give a response to the economic crisis and sign some executive orders. Okay, I mean, that's great. But what do you and I know? Any significant legislation has to pass through Congress. Yes, there is some stuff you can do executive order, as we found out under Trump. Not that much, though. And actually, when you do it, you're circumventing the will of Congress, and you're making it so there's all these like weird administrative problems whenever it comes down to it. Where's the legislation? It's not on the floor. I cannot believe that they were caught flat-footed. I mean, what kind of incoming president, especially the so-called competent administration, doesn't conceive that they might win those Senate seats in Georgia and not have a plan on day one, just in case? Just in case. There was always above a 25-30% chance that it might happen. That's 1 in 3. That's a lot, actually, whenever you think about probability. And it's completely insane. I've been talking to other people. They legitimately did not think they were going to win in Georgia. So they just didn't do anything. They didn't plan at all. Nothing. That's why you see this total mess going on in the Senate. When's the impeachment trial? I don't know. Nancy Pelosi won't even tell you whenever she's going to send it over. How long is it going to be? I don't know. What legislation are you going to pass? Don't know. Nothing. We don't even know what the structure of the committees are. This is totally crazy. And sure, like Mitch McConnell is to blame, but I mean, you run the government now. What are you doing?
And they are, and you're so right. They're supposed to be like their central pitch is the adults are going to be back in charge. We're going to have all the credentialed experts back at the table. We're going to have it handled. And then even if you only thought you had a 5% chance to win in Georgia, you'd still want to plan for that possibility and have some things ready to go. On the Biden executive orders that are being signed today, and I do think that this is important, he's expanding the food stamps program, the SNAP program, so that families make up for the amount that they essentially miss when kids are out of school and don't have access to the free breakfast and lunch that's provided there. He's also aggressively going on. There's a lot of people who never received the checks that they should have gotten, either the 1,200 or the 600. So he's working on getting those out to people. And he's also taking steps so that federal government contractors are paying all of their employees $15 an hour. Those are all good things, right? Yeah. But that's not nearly the package that we need to see here. So for what it's worth, if I was the Biden administration, if I was Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, I really think the right strategy is to put the $2,000, not $1,400, $2,000 checks, just that one item in a standalone clean bill on the floor. And do I think that there are actually 60 votes for that in the Senate at this point? I'm kind of doubtful, right? I'm actually kind of skeptical that you could get enough Republicans to go along with that. But at least then you would be putting people on the spot.
Exactly.
You would be making it very difficult for them because a lot of them are already on the record as supporting it. So what's changed? Now you just don't want to give a Democratic administration a win now that it's Joe Biden in charge. So you'd be putting them on the spot and it wouldn't be giving them this excuse that occurs when you have a bigger bill. They can always point to something that's a giveaway, that's, oppositional, that is unpopular and say, that's the reason I'm not voting for it. Then you have the chance either of getting a big bipartisan win to start with very quickly, or making the Republicans look like idiots and assholes. And then you can still get the check through the reconciliation process. So step one is do a clean bill just for $2,000 and then go big with the budget reconciliation process, because you're not going to get a big package through regular order through the Senate. So do $15 minimum wage through the budget reconciliation process, do state and local aid, do vaccine money, do school funding, and do another round of checks. Why not? Through the budget reconciliation process. That is the way that they should be thinking. That seems to be the way that Bernie Sanders at least is thinking. But the Biden people, there's still mixed messages about exactly what path they're going to take. So I don't want to rule out that maybe they get it together here and pursue an actually smart strategy. But at this point, there is absolutely no indication of that. And the fact that they are prepared is just completely mind-blowing.
And Krystal, even if they do make the right call and they go along with the plan, why did it take so long? Why didn't you think about it? What are you doing? Like, again, this is my whole point, which is like, even if you have to be, frog march towards doing the right thing, then what was the point of getting you in the office in the first place? Like, Senate floor time is a precious thing. And this guy was supposed to be, he's worked in the Senate, he knows how Washington works and all of that. You're day 2 of your presidency, man. Like, every single day that ticks by, and this is what I'm going to be talking about in my radar, which is that the culture war ticks up on the GOP and you get a united front. You have the greatest opening that you will ever have of your entire life to actually pass transformative legislation, unite the country, have a 75% approval rating, win the midterm elections, and win the 2024 presidential election. You can do it all right now if you want to. Look at FDR. People voted for him for literally like 12 years straight, mostly off of what he did in the first 100 days of his presidency. And for a guy who talks big and puts FDR's portrait in his office, this is just a sad, imitation of his legacy.
Yeah. Look, I think we're both trying to be really fair to Joe Biden. We really are. Mm-hmm. If he does 2 things and he does them well, I think he's going to be popular. I think he's going to be successful. I don't think it's going to be the transformational change that ultimately we need. And there will be a cost to pay for that in the very near future. But if you get money in people's pockets and you distribute the vaccine effectively, then you really are going to be in very good shape. You made a super clear promise around $2,000 checks immediately. You're walking back from that. Why? And on vaccine distribution, by the way, and we're going to cover this later in the show, they seem to be walking back some of their promises there and trying to set the bar and the expectations, though, low there as well, which is kind of disconcerting too. So look, we will see what comes. We will judge them on the merits as they, are manifested with actual legislation, actual policy, actual movement. But so far, the strategy and the lack of preparation is very disconcerting, let's just say.
There's danger signs all around.
Absolutely. All right, Sagar, looking forward to what you are looking at on your radar, talking about whatever we're calling these. That's next.